Hi everyone, this is a chat that I had with Edward Best. We're going to jump straight in. Thing we're talking about is what do you wish you knew before you started working on yachts, and also any tips and advice and things that he wished he knew and wants to impart to you guys. I hope you find it useful and enjoy.
Just get people that have done this, that are in the industry, that have you know, talked the talk and walked the walk, but also, importantly, that have actually, if possible, done the course. Because, obviously what I'm trying to do with with the training is to say to guys, look, this is what I looked for. This is what I looked for when I was hiring crew. This is what we look for as agents and all of that. But it's hugely important that I can also bring in a different face. So like guys like you that have done it, that are there, that are recruiting crew yourself, like what is it you wished you'd known? Because,
Mhm.
we all kind of go through that process of, we start somewhere and we struggle and we learn things and all of that. But, if you can give any kind of advice about, hey, this is part of what I wish I knew, or you know maybe this is something that can help other people, or
Yeah,
anything like that that can just bring light to someone that hasn't gone that far, that's nervous about taking that first step, and you know kind of making it go, well, yeah, it is hard, or it isn't
mm,
hard, or this is what happened to me, or you know just bring in a different element to it. That's really,
yeah.
obviously important.
No, I understand. I think I get what you guys are trying to put out.
At
Yeah,
the end of the
I mean,
day, none of this is rocket science and everything. And then I keep preaching the same thing over and over. But like, what do you want your deckhand that you're gonna hire? What do you want him to know? What do you want him to be like? Or what did you wish you knew? Yeah.
yeah. Um, I think starting off, that's why my new relationship is still staying really strong. Is um, the basics in life, in any business or from school to university, finding your feet as a 20 to 30-year-old gap in life is one of the most extreme things I think what any person goes through because you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
But what people don't understand is yachting business, and if you are a good human with good values and you execute those values, you're going to do very, very well. So what I try to teach my day crew, or in a very subtle way, is firstly treat others how you want to be treated, and I think if I can have an opinion to any day crew coming in and in interior, any other department is, you know, my mother always told me a very good thing: if you're in a situation, that write it out first and read it back to yourself and see if it's worth it going into something. And that's for anything in life. It's for ranking up to next levels, it's learning new things. I think always be wary of your surroundings and people, because you live with them, you eat with them, you sleep, and you work with them the next day. So I think that's one very important thing, just being a normal, well, not normal, but think about your actions and what you do and how you do them, and that's for everything, working and
Mm.
being in the crew mess, etc. Um, but more to a work aspect, what would I wish I knew as a deckhand when I came into this industry? Firstly, for myself, every weekend I was on the lake and I skied, and I was very, very privileged to be able to sail a little bit and be on the water and do water sports. And it's because my parents was able to do that. Not everyone has that, I understand. That doesn't make you a bad seafarer. You can become a really good seafarer if you want to do this and you are not surrounded by water. I don't believe in you have to be on the water to be good in the future. I don't believe that. I've had some incredible deckhands
Mm.
that has learned and they want to learn, and they put themselves in front of the entire pack, and they are just brilliant. They can work with people and they can execute, etc. But what would I tell people? my biggest thing, what I look for now in deck it's people that do different things, and that is not necessarily like that's why I'm sitting with the anchors behind me. The guy that can drop the best anchor on a 200 foot in 200 foot of water, that's the shackles. Being that's not a big thing. I don't think you have to be different in those ways. That's what normally officers are gung ho about. You got to be able to do everything. I think small things matter. If you diving is a big thing. Go get your diving course and have it on your CV, and make sure you can put a BC together and you take interest in it. And that's again more to yachting side. Even smaller than that, if you've enjoyed woodwork in school, go quickly for a couple of days and help the local, I don't know, craftsman to do something. Learn about a little bit of varnish, and again, that's more to yachting, but small things matter a lot. Small executions to organization. Um, just I see so much worth in deckhands and bosuns and now officers that just can do different things. And people sometimes shy away from that, but that's very important to me, because you can be the same as the guy next to you, but what sets you apart is sometimes really small things, and people see that. Now more to the big things. What do I enjoy seeing in a deckhand is, at the end of the day, I see a lot of people wanting to rank up to a certain level, and if that's officer maybe or bosun on a bigger boat and running the deck. At the end of the day, you have to be good in some things. And if I can have a very big opinion to people that I've seen in the past years, is some guys just don't want to, and girls don't want to drive tenders. At the end of the day, you have to be good in those things. You have to be able to execute things under immense pressure, and you have to do it well and fast. And if you can be open to allow yourself, sorry, big 747 coming above us. If you can allow yourself to be open, to be taught to drive different tenders and things on boats and do it really well, you will be good. I see so many bosuns that try to rank up, but they can only wash a boat fast. And you're immensely indispensable if you can do everything. It's not necessarily that you're going to do everything, but you'll always know how to do it the best on the team, and that's very valuable. So always learn, always try to learn, never be scared. Find a mentor that is like Don, well spoken, soft, kind, but hungry, and you will do extremely well. There's no way you won't. Yeah.
Well, that's huge. Look, that's basically, again, I try to preach that as much as possible, and I also try to, show that during, whenever I'm training and whatever the case is. But I think, it's like maybe you and I were at a point where we've forgotten what it was like to get on the boat on the first day. And
yeah.
I tell this story on my courses. I got lost trying to find my cabin because I didn't know my way around the boat. And I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to do my job if I can't even find my way out of my cabin to where I need to go and eat? And it's that kind of thing that I think has a lot of people scared. And I had a guy that finished my course today. He's flying to Miami next week, and he sat with me and he said, I'm so stressed out about what can I do to make myself feel less stressed about what I'm about to try and get myself into. So, in terms of what you think, when it comes to the guy that's dock walking or that's coming up to the boat, what is it that sets, what is it you look for in someone that's coming to ask for day work? Or, what is basically something that you would say impressed you if someone were to come up to the boat and ask you, you know, about trying to find a job or just get some day work or something?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think first things that strike me is not necessarily, a lot of people has this ways of looking at something where if you're good in something, you are, you're amazing. But firstly, I eye contact, shaking my hand. Doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl, both, going for that handshake, and just start speaking. I think that's the first 50% is just the initial greeting, saying hello. And normally, I find anyone that dog walks and actually goes out there and does it already is there. They're already going to be kind, already going to be, because they're there. They're not hanging in a bar or trying to, do different things like that. What do I look for in the first 20 seconds? I think just the general hunger, and the continuous hunger, not necessarily someone that's just hyper on the spot. And I think you can pick that up pretty quickly. Someone that really wants to learn and enjoy the industry, because especially for us South Africans, I think we need to get back into a stage where we are very good and we've got some incredible generations of sailors. And I think we need to prove that, we are good. And that's more for South Africans and for other, countries as well. Is I think the respect side is a big thing, so yeah, I think at the end of the day, we don't do a very I think challenging on the mind job. As soon as you started getting in the bridge, it's incredibly challenging for sure. And the pressure is immense. But when we work on deck and work on interior, it's very easy to execute. So the biggest thing is just working as a team and feeling that when I meet someone, it happens within 30 seconds, and I can pretty much on the spot tell you yes or no that this person potentially will be good or not.
That's really interesting. I mean, there's obviously been no shortage of people dock walking and looking for work and all of that. And what I'm finding is a lot of people have said, I would rather apply for jobs online. I would rather, use the Facebook groups and all of that kind of thing than go dock walking, because it is such a demoralizing thing for people to get told no, but like, what's your take on that? Do you think, I mean, what are your preferences? Would you rather meet someone in person, or would you tend to use a Facebook group or something like that?
Yeah, I think what new fresh crew need to remember is, as much as you well, firstly, I think being said no is going to happen anywhere in your life. If you were an intern, did your 4-year studies, or say you did your 8-year studies, you became a doctor and you're an intern, that doctor is going to tell you 200 times no before you have a scalpel in your hand. And what people don't understand is that's in any business. And if you want to execute something, you're going to be told no. But that just grows you and it just makes you stronger. And that's why we have companies like Yoa and people that assist us. In your time, Don, it wasn't that. You had to go out, you were said no 500 times, and then you got your job, and then the old sailors treated you way worse than now. MLC wasn't there and all those. So I think there's a sense of, I'm never that type of person to say that, but there's a sense of, you got it, harden up, you will be able to do it. It's gonna happen, and everyone goes through it. And that's what builds character. That's definitely what takes you into the next level of life, not necessarily yachting, but life. Everyone goes through it. I went through it. I'm fortunate with a wonderful boat, a wonderful captain, and wonderful crew owners. But where I wanted to start this out, and this is my second part to this, is as much as you feel that someone says no to you on the dock, I would prefer to see the person that's going to lead me, meet them, see what they are doing and where they are, and how the boat looks. And rather than having a blind side getting to a boat, I've got horror stories of people getting to vessels and it's not what they thought, and they just completely feel trapped, and it can lead to the end of their career because they just do not dislike the industry.
So that's a really good point, actually, because I mean, it's an interview on two ends. Ultimately, you interviewing them as much as they are looking at your boat, thinking, if it looks like a shambles and the person that I'm talking to on the dock is, maybe the captain, and he's, not looking like someone that could be trusted, that has a big part to play as well.
Absolutely. Look, there's and I still have a lot to learn, but there's a lot of boats out there that is ran very well, but you just don't agree with the philosophy. And if you don't, there's hundreds of thousands of boats out there. I'm personally not I don't never smoked in my life. I don't drink at all a lot. I don't drink on board. And some boats do, and they and that's for their how everything is ran, and I respect that so much. It's like businesses, like I say, out there, but some philosophies I don't agree with, and that's for you to decide, and decide well in a very respectful way, never bring anything up. Those captains and managements and owners has ran their ships for decades, and you're brand new in the industry, so respectfully, choose your path as well, because who you are, who you surround yourself with, that is life.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's true. I think also one thing worth mentioning is the fact that there's so many guys and girls out there that are literally so desperate to find work that they're more than willing to compromise their values and things like that in favor of just getting anything. And I've seen it where some of my students have said that they were day working on a boat for 40 euros in Palma for the day, just because they wanted to build their CV to have something to put on it. But they were exploited because of them being so eager and willing. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I had someone in hey, look, when I got my first job on my vessel, I'm not gonna say the boat's name, I said I'll work for free. You're not gonna pay me. And they phoned me and they're like, you're 100% understand what you mean. That is, I think, a bad thing that the industry is going towards. The reason for that is, and someone told me this one day, and obviously we were raised with being hungry and gung-ho, let's do it, we'll do it for free just to get that. And I understand what you're going through, and definitely not taking it away. What is bad is you're looking at salaries across the board, etc., comparing to nationwide salaries in other businesses and companies, and that's short base. So you go home and you work 8 hours a day. Our salaries in yachting struggling. It's not going up. It is stagnant to an extent. But the problem is with the younger crew that they will work for literal peanuts, is it is affecting them later in their careers. So when they're a year or two, is if you can pay someone very low wages and people will just work for free, it affects the entire industry. Now, what I mean by that is deck crew members and interior members and deck engineers, any new fresh role, you guys are still working for your money, and you are away from home, and you deserve to get paid. You deserve to be treated very well. That needs to be compensated. So I think a lot of fresh crew that come in, they are just so gung-ho that they forget the real business sense to life, that you need to be compensated well. And the industry needs to know that there's no such thing as free work. Not just that, but being away from home 300 days of the year, or 300 and getting 30 days of leave a year. So if that's just a little thing, I'm more so kind of getting harder about. And I know there's very good managements out there these days that is so good with that, running crew in a very good manner, giving them their rest, making them feel appreciated that they, just building these yachts away from home and just keeping them perfect. So it's getting there for sure. I can already feel it in my 7 years, how it's progressing and how social media and interactions like this has progressed the entire thing. Docbook magazines and everything just coming out. People being like, you know what, if you work and you work hard and you work well, this industry is growing, but we have to grow it with the people growing, if that makes sense.
So let me play devil's advocate a little bit then. So the other end of the spectrum is the guy that's wanting to turn down a job offer for, say, €2,500 a month because he's hoping for a 3-1 rotation, or basically there's two extremes. There's the guy that'll work for free to do anything, and then there's other people that are basically trying to get the best possible deal at any cost. And that's something that I've seen as an agent even today, where I'm recruiting a temporary deckhand on an 89 meter, and the guy said to me, yeah, I'm interested in the job, but I prefer a permanent job, so I'm going to wait until I find a permanent job. So effectively turning down a very good opportunity.
Yeah,
I can understand. But what's your take on that, on the other end of extreme, where the guys are asking for things that may not be realistic?
very simple. An officer on a 60 meter, there's 10 guys in a line. Captain, there's 3 people in a line. Deckhand, there's 250 in a line in 3 days. So I think that puts it in perspective, is you need to be like my first piece of this whole thing. I think people understand that, but never be cheeky. If you're going to, I'm not going to talk about myself because, I worked for, 2 years under a certain, like progressing myself and doing things. And, you work your butt off trying to get to a certain stage, and you never look at the dollar signs ever. You cannot do that because you'll never get anywhere. If you look at any other industry and and I'm comparing other industries because people sometimes misconstrued, I think, yachting is, my wife, she studied for 5 years and she's a communications master, and she communicates well. And she worked for peanuts for the first 2 years. She got a promotion and she did well. If you go into any industry and you start demanding, I need a 20% raise, I need a 20% raise, 10%, whatever it is, and I need this, and I need another month off, and I need this, that CEO is going to laugh at you, and he's going to give the 100 people behind you the job. And I think a lot of people yachting think that this is just a casual gig and just coming in, you have to, respect me. Is you got to understand that there is a lot of people that want this job, and that is never a threat. It's more just opening your eyes to these companies like Yoa out there to look after you. They're making sure you're getting the best deal possible, you're getting the best package possible, and they won't give you something if they don't feel that it's the truth and it should be. That's their next line. I know there's other agencies out there that does that just to push the numbers. But for example, Don, like you guys are the straight lining facts. That's how it should be. That's industry standard. Even better, I promise you, and you deserve that. Yeah, I don't think backing out. I don't think people enough realize that, because there's so much rotations going in now and on now, and there's so many yachts that realize how good it is to have longevity. So people getting incredible salaries. I've heard it, I've seen it. insane salaries and rotator, but you never know what's going on that boat. You don't know how long the guy's been there. You don't know what was discussed before. You only just hear of the good things, and that's what I always tell my deckhands. You never hear of the normal yachts that just work, and you'll always hear of the positive things. So the one out of the 100 bosuns have stayed. He has a 3-1. He has an incredible 4-2. We're not even going to a 2-2 or 3-3. That is abnormal. If people can just understand that and fathom that. For my first 5 years from 2016, I had 30 days a year leave, basic salary. That is a very well-ran Fed ship. So I think if people kind of realize what is out there and, do your time, do your dues, and captains see, owners see, and they will want to keep you, and you do get compensated for that. Don't be too cheeky. That's fine.
Well, look, that definitely is the case. I think, I preach to the choir a lot, and you're years deep into all of this now. I think as a newbie to the industry, it's really hard to understand that because they haven't been exposed to it. And a lot of these guys and girls, it's their very first job ever. So they don't know where the mark is that they should be aiming for. And that's obviously part of our job.
Yeah.
Is to try and explain that. But also, there's research that can be done in terms of, looking at what is actually on offer for, the jobs that are posted on YOA or posted on other crew agency sites or on Facebook and all that kind of thing, which kind of leads me to the next point that I wanted to just ask you about is, if you looked at someone's CV and you looked at their qualifications, other than the diving course that you mentioned, what do you think would be something that would be useful in terms of courses? And what are the things that you're seeing that you're thinking, why did they do that? I don't need them to have that.
Yeah. Look, from a deck perspective,
yeah,
it's a tough job. You gotta be strong. You gotta be fit. You gotta pull that load. You gotta throw the line over your back, and you gotta work it. I do so many back stretches. It's not even funny. The deck crew laugh at me. Like Don knows, I was a cyclist, and I was pretty fit, but my back from cycling, and I stretch every morning. And when we've scrubbed all the decks 2 days ago, done, my back's sore, and it's getting to a stage, and I'm not even 30 yet, but I know I'm verging off of the point, but that's my basis of everything is what you do. Look at physical things. Don't look at you're gonna do your Navigator or you're gonna do your VHF radio license. Extremely important for the industry. But on deck, what do I look for? Oh, I've run a couple of years ago, was up to, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 charters, and I was the one behind the wheel and the tender and pulling that rope, jumping in the water with them, and slalom and wakeboarding, wake surfing. And I got to a stage and I'm like, okay, like trip number 60 through the 10-day trip, and I'm like, okay, come on, like, boys, who else can do this? Help me. And that's as a second mate. And my biggest thing was where are the guys that can help me? So what do I look for? Yes, open water diving. You can put up a bottle, you can do that, not lead the dive, but you can do it with them. Just start with that. If you're able to, I know it's hard, you can't go buy a boat, but skiing, slaloming, wakeboarding, any physical, you take up kiteboarding, anything. I know these things take weeks, months, years to master. It's not an overnight thing, but anything physical, water sports, done deal. Absolutely. These boats have all the equipment that you will ever be able to dream of. Paddleboarding, I know it sounds simple, but they swell behind a boat. They swell behind in certain parts. There's a 2-foot swell continuously through from the Atlantic. So if you can't paddleboard in a 1-foot swell and you fall off the whole time, the charter guests are going to laugh at you as a deck crew. Kayak, how to set it up, how to put the fins in on a paddleboard, how to just general stuff on a yacht, equipment that they have now. Foil boards, foil boards are hard to ride. They're hard, they come out of the water, you have this little trigger electrical, but those things are 15 grand. If one flips around, the prop gets you, goes in the stern of the boat, it's carbon, it breaks. All those things are extremely valuable with physical. That's my biggest thing I look for is water sports, physical activities. That's huge to me. I want to see as a day again. Fishing. The first time ever in my career, I have an insane fisherman on board. Now, what I mean by insane fisherman, this guy would go out and pick some yellowfins out in his kayak. Like, he is just phenomenal. But that is a profession on its own, I believe. So if you're a fisherman, great. That's a good skill to have. But don't say you're a fisherman to the extent of, same with diving. If you're a rescue diver, yes. But be that. The worst thing I've seen is someone saying they can do something and they can't. It really frustrates me. I'm super pumped if you're an open water diver, you have basic skills in wakeboarding and two in skiing and one slalom, big difference. Basic fishing, if you can do most of those, I'll hire you. But if you're a professional in one thing, yeah, you're good, but I'm gonna look for, can you set up everything? Can you set up a wakeboard for me quickly? Do you know that it's a short line with wake surfing? It's a really long line with slalom skiing. It's a different line. It's a polyprop line. All those things. That is what I would focus on mostly. Not dropping anchors, not knowing how a engine works. It's the practical things that we make our hands dirty with when charter guests and owners look at us. So that makes sense.
It does. Look, I mean, that's really important, is to highlight what you do for fun often can lead to you getting a job. And that's something that a lot of people might not realize, because they get so bogged down into thinking they've got to do, a day skipper theory and day skipper and all of the rest of it, when in actual fact, it's a nice to have, but it's not something that's actually going to get you hired because you have it. So, like you may have on your boat too, jet skis, and any boat with jet skis on board needs also a jet ski instructor.
I say it a lot. Look, if you've driven a tender, well, like people say, a boat, a tender back home, and you've skied with your family or friends, if you can actually drive that thing and pull people out of the water and do the right S and come around them and pull them up again and do it, amazing if you've done it before. But that extent is hard to get sometimes because not everyone's owned a boat.
Sure.
But if you just look at, like I said, like you just said now as well, repeating myself, the fun stuff is really what we're doing. It is fun, but it needs to be so professional that it looks like you've set up a wakeboard 1,000 times. You've set up a 200 times. Kiteboard is very intricate. You've done those things before so many times, because that is why these incredibly wealthy people rent these boats. They want to feel so safe when they're in the middle of the ocean and go for a kayak, that everything is set up ready, everything is perfect. Their life jacket is there, their life jacket is the right size. It just on the spot. They have their water right there. It's these small things that matter, and it's not the day skipper. I'm there to drive the tender, then the bosun, then the first mate, and then if everyone's gone, the captain can whip the tender. Absolutely. So, and then we will teach you. As soon as you're on board and you've done all the other things, we will teach you how to drive the tender. But people, they definitely do have this misconception about the most important things is the small things. Is be very good in those. Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, I think we're running out of time here, so I'm going to have to do my thing here. But look, I think, Ed, this is really, really, really helpful. And I'm definitely going to try and edit this and share it with my students. So I think, mate, like going forward, it would be cool if we could almost like, and I asked Lizandri as well the same question. I said, hey, what did you wish you knew?
Yeah.
Tell me, what it was like for you and all of that, because I'm trying to get as many different opinions as I can,
Yeah.
because everyone's journey is different too, and that's the thing. It's like everyone needs to kind of look at it through their lens, but taking in all of these opinions from you and people that are there and that have struggled before them, if nothing else, it gives them encouragement to know, hey, it is possible. But
Yeah.
also, it's about trying to dispel a lot of the myths that unfortunately a lot of the schools in South Africa are preaching, where they're saying you've got to do 50,000 rands worth of courses in order to get a job.
No.
That's really what this conversation is about too, is like, not once did we mention you looking for a specific course. It's more about an attitude, a personality, and a skill set than a piece of paper. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's really, really helpful and useful. And Matt, I mean, thank you so much for your time, mate. I really,
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, because I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people that have got those concerns and problems. So, I owe you a big one, mate. That's
No,
a
absolutely. It's the
big
least
help.
I can do. I'll continue to help for sure. The reason it's so worthy is because everything I'm speaking now is literally things I go through on a daily basis. Is just but I can get a 3-1. I promise you that, and I can get $4,000. And I'm like, just work, man. Just work with me, and I do the grunt with you. Just do it with me. Like just
Do the
yeah.
time.
I'm 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 so much. I can't say these things obviously. On the video this raw, but just it's so valuable what you're doing, because people just need it. Just put your time in, and if you don't find the right mentors, there is people out there that want to help, and you will find them. Like you just have to be open to just do your time.